Hi everyone, Marvin here, and I just wanted to reach out to you and spend a few minutes with you regarding a topic of leading leaders. Now, we all know that leading others is challenging enough. We know that there are many elements and challenges that come into play. How do I make sure that I'm engaging others? How do I make sure that I'm being my most effective self to lead others? But when it comes to leading leaders, it's a completely different ballgame. Now, many of the aspects remain the same. Yes, of course, you want to be inspiring to others. You want to engage others. You want to make sure that you're being your most effective self, of course. But leading leaders takes everything to a whole new level. We know that communication plays a key role. We all know that how I communicate something is sometimes far more important than what I communicate. We can all finish the phrase, it's not so much what you say, it's how you say it. And leading leaders is no exception. However, what we find is that when leaders are leading other leaders, they often are like ships passing in the night. They frequently will be saying the same thing but in two different ways, and there's a misunderstanding that takes place between them. And when someone is leading another leader, it's easy for the individual being led to misjudge what the leader is trying to accomplish, and it's easy for the leader who's leading the other leader to accidentally miscommunicate what it is they're trying to say. And we know communication plays a critical role. And so I want to share a couple of concepts with you that I think could make a difference. And we're just going to hit this one quick, so just a couple of minutes. Now, I am sharing a couple of things with you that you may have heard regarding DISC communication. And I want to share high level what DISC actually is. I'm going to point to these. You don't even need to see the details, even though I'm going to send these documents to Tom and the team so that you have access to them quickly and can leverage the learning from this. So I'm going to send you two documents. One is DISC. Now, Tom may have already shared these with you, but I want to share them at the 50,000 foot level. D of DISC behavioral styles is simply they're a dominant decider. They're quick to make a decision. They like to check the box and move on. They're very good at pushing an initiative forward, and if they're on a project team that is struggling to get the wheels off the ground, a dominant decider can really make a difference by stepping in and pushing the team forward to get it done. That's a dominant decider. That's D. I is more of what we call the inspirer. we call this person the inspirational initiator, and we find that this person loves to think blue sky. They're very good at considering all possibilities. They're always looking at not what something is, but how it could be better. So they're very good at forward thinking, and they look at long-term vision. They like to look out into the future and determine what could happen next. They look at all the possibilities. Now, the S is what we call the steady supporter. Steady supporter is that team member that is solid in their approach. They like to bring the team together. They hate conflict. They like it when a team gels, and they're always looking for ways to create harmony. These team members have a tendency to be quick to say, I'll help, and you can call upon them, and they're quick to provide support. And then the last person is the C, conscientious calculator. Now, we call a conscientious calculator that individual who is looking to dot the I's and cross the T's. They're great at details. They like methods and procedures, and they're excellent at them. Now, when it comes to DISC, the profile, behavioral styles, what we know is this, we know that every one of us can demonstrate any one of these at any given time. However, we say that we have a bit of a bungee cord effect, that there is usually one and sometimes a combination of two, that regardless of your efforts, you tend to move into that area. We call it our home base. And that if someone is a conscientious calculator, they can look forward to the future and think about possibilities. But the truth is they can do that with effort, but they often will spring back. They will bungee cord back to their home base. Same with someone who's a dominant decider. Could they take their time, spend a little more time really getting a team to gel and make sure the relationships are solid? They can do that, but it's often with effort. They tend to bounce back right into their dominant decider mode and push forward. Now, we know that DISC behavioral styles are all important, but that's not actually why I'm here. I want to set the context for a new concept that I think is important for leaders who lead others. And that is this. There are four components. We call them the four cores of leadership. That whenever you're leading others, and especially when you're leading leaders, there are four cores of leadership that you must consider. That if you're missing one of them as a leader, you can very quickly become less effective. Leaders who are being led need four key components to come from that leader that is leading them. And the four are this. The first one is vision. And again, I'm pointing at something. I'm going to send you these documents so you have them in front of you. You may already, even as we speak. But the first one is vision. I've got to be able to look to the future. I've got to be able to cast a vision to create something that's compelling for people to move toward. The second one is plan. Do I have the details of the plan for how we're going to move toward that vision? Can I create the clarity around the plan? Do I make sure that I've covered all the bases? Do I have a powerful plan? Now the third one is called alignment. And this is really more centered around, now that I have a vision and I've created a plan for how to move forward toward that vision, do I know how to align the team? Can I get alignment and agreement? Can I get collaboration from the team to move toward that plan and the ultimate vision? And last is execution. Can I get a team to move their feet and get something done toward that vision to complete the process that we're working to accomplish? In other words, can I get people to execute on the plan that I've created to move toward the vision? Those are the four cores. Now, if you're going to lead leaders, these four are critical to you and your effectiveness to move forward. But I want you to notice the tie-in. There's something we call the stacking effect, that when you can take a learning that you've acquired and stack it with another learning, where you start to see how they interweave together, how they are connected, it takes your learning to a whole new level. And so I want you to notice something. The first one was vision. Well, notice on the DISC behavioral styles, guess what? If you have any size team, chances are you have people who are focused on one of the four DISC behavioral styles. Why is that important? Notice this. Vision. Vision, where does that tie on the DISC behavioral styles? All people can help to create vision, but there's usually people who that's their bungee cord behavior, that's their home base, and that happens to be the I in DISC behavioral styles. Others can do it, but this is their nature. Notice the second one is plan. How do I create a detailed plan? You know that's the conscientious calculator. We just talked about the method and the procedures. They like to dot the I's and cross the T's. Then we also have alignment. The third core of leadership is alignment. That happens to be S, that steady supporter, that person who can be the gel that brings a team together, that builds the relationships, that creates collaboration. And last, of course, is execution. How do I get people to move forward and make it happen? And that happens to be on the DISC behavioral styles, the D, the dominant decider who can really move forward and execute. Now, why did I talk about stacking these on top of one another? I personally believe, having worked with so many executive leaders who are trying to lead leaders, is one of the fail points, one of the tripping points that people fall into is they believe they have to do it all. They believe they as a leader must do all of these components in order to be effective. However, and what we found to be most effective for leaders is when they begin to tap into and leverage the strengths of the team members that already exist. So what if the way to be your most effective self is actually to help others be their most effective self? What if all the talent, all the experience, all the ability, all the skills that need to exist for you to be the most effective leader of leaders already exist because it exists in the people that you lead? The question becomes, how do I facilitate that strength in them? How do I draw that out? How do I facilitate meetings? How do I facilitate project teams so that I'm making sure I'm tapping into their natural state? If I need to execute and get things done, am I working with dominant deciders to determine how to get the entire team to move forward? That does not mean that the dominant decider is the one who has to execute everything. But it allows me to pull upon their talents and skills to get things done. And you're able to do that in each key area. And so the question is, where are you doing that naturally? And where are you finding yourselves overlooking that possibility and believing you have to do it all? So I want you to have that conversation, and I have an assessment that's built into this very chart that I'm sharing with you now. And you'll notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 levels within each of the 4 cores of leadership. And I'd like you to circle, where do you find yourself? Are you at a level 1 on vision and a level 3 on plan and a level 5 on alignment? Because we notice that there are various skill sets. And the good news is once you've done that, if I find I'm a level 3 on vision, your next natural step to improve as a leader is to go to level 4. It actually gives you the instruction for how to move forward. So with that, I encourage you to take a look at where you are on the 4 cores of leadership, and are you leveraging the team as you should. So with that, I bless you to have that conversation, enjoy your dialogue, and then report back to one another and discover where you're at on these 4 cores of leadership.